Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Mark Notriani, and I am the executive sponsor of Intuit's Latinos Employee Resource Group. And on behalf of the team, we are so excited to be a part of this event for National Hispanic Heritage Month, and co-hosting this with the Small Biz Pop-Up. So each year, we Americans observe National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th by celebrating the histories, the cultures, and contributions of American citizens whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And that's I mentioned my wife earlier. She's from Argentina, which is near and dear to my heart, and we'll probably win the World Cup this year. I'm just saying. We will celebrate the countless contributions of our more than 60 million Hispanic Americans. It's the largest minority group in the United States today. Just a incredible representation in this country from that heritage. This month, we also celebrate the Independence Days of several Latin American countries, including Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua on September 15th, Mexico on September 16th, and Chile on September 18th. Also, Dia de la Raza, which is October 12th. So it's a busy time throughout the next 30 days. And today, it's really exciting for us, actually, because we get to celebrate one of our own Latin-owned QuickBooks customers, Regina Trillo, founder of Nemi Snacks, is here with us to tell her story. And I'll tell you, it's an amazing story, and I can't wait for y'all to hear it. I haven't had the opportunity yet. I know our team has had the opportunity to try her products. Mine are on the way here, and I can't wait based on the feedback that Dre and others have had that have tried her snacks. And so I can't wait to get them here in my house. But if you want to purchase your own, you can find the link on their website. We'll post it in the Zoom chat so that you can order up. She's all prepared to fulfill those orders. We talked about that last week when we connected. In a few minutes, Dre Rodriguez Miller, who is our director of service operations in SBSEG, but also our global leader for the Intuit Latinos Network, will interview Regina to find out more about her and how she got started and the challenges she had and how she persevered. I'm telling you, it's an incredible story. But just a couple more things before we go ahead and things to note. We want to make sure we answer your questions for Regina. Please post your questions in Zoom using the Q&A feature, and we will get them. We will get to them during our time together. We will also be raffling off some prizes from Nemi Snacks. Anyone who completes the post-event survey will be entered to win for that drawing. 10 winners will be drawn from that pool. So please ask questions and please participate in the survey. You know how much we're a survey heavy company. We really appreciate the feedback, and man, if you win some of those snacks, you'll get an added bonus as well. But again, thanks everybody for being here. I'm now really going to turn it over to Dre, get the day started. But thank you so much for participating. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to hearing the story again from Regina. So Dre, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Mark. Really glad to be with everyone today. I'm Dre Rodriguez Miller, and I am the leader for U.S. Assisted Support for QuickBooks. I have been with Intuit for almost 23 years. Please do not share in chat how old you were when I started Intuit. I've heard it all. But I am super excited today to spend the time to talk with Regina. We are excited to talk to the mastermind behind this incredible brand, to hear the story about how she came up with this and how she's moving forward. So as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, I am excited to take a step back. Regina, please introduce yourself to our Intuit family. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, and we'd really love to hear the moment that you knew you wanted to start your business.
Hola, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor, Drea. Thank you so much for organizing this, for helping us amplify our message and our brands and our voices. I really appreciate it. Yo soy Regina, and I grew up in Mexico City, and I moved to Chicago 11 years ago, and I moved for law school. Never in my mind did it cross have a business or create something. I thought if I find a job in the US, I'll stay. I found a job. I did immigration law for some years. But I do remember the experience that I had and what I felt the moment that I stepped foot in the US grocery store here in Chicago. And this was a US store. It wasn't a Latino or a Hispanic grocery store. And I was looking for Mexican food and products. That was the first thing that I wanted to find when I moved here. I didn't know at the time there was such a big Hispanic community in Chicago, but I went into the store and I went into the ethnic aisle, and I remember seeing all these brands that were showcasing Mexico and my cultura in a very stereotypical way. So I mostly found brands with sombreros, with indigenous women cooking on the front of the packaging. I looked at their ingredients and most of them were artificial or doing the same thing over and over. I saw the snack aisle and the only Mexican snack that I saw was tortilla chips. And I remember thinking, there's so many. There's so much more to do and ingredients to share. And my cultura is really not about that. There's much more than sombreros. And then I went to the produce section and I saw nopales. I don't know if anyone here is familiar with nopales, but it's the prickly pear paddle, a native crop of Mexico. You find it in Mexico pretty much in every mercado, on the sidewalk, on the streets, similar to how you find it in Arizona, in Southern California, and in Texas. Yes, Erika. Yes, Erika knows nopales. I love it. Whoever doesn't know, I have a baby nopalera. So this is a baby nopal plant. I mean, these are tiny paddles, but usually paddles grow as big as my face. Not a great reference. I'm 5 foot. I'm very petite, but they grow everywhere and they're the most resilient plant. They can thrive in hot weather. They need very little water to survive. Because of that, they don't need any pesticides. And they have a big cultural significance with Mexico. They're part of our Mexican flag. They represent resilience because in the harshest conditions, a beautiful plant can grow and can thrive. Nopales synthesize carbon dioxide at night. And I saw the nopal plant and I was about to grab it and it had spikes. And I thought, nobody is going to buy an intimidating looking vegetable unless they know how to clean it, how to cook it. Most people didn't. And that stayed in the back of my mind. At the time, I didn't see myself as starting something or creating something because I was just afraid of it. I didn't see myself there. I didn't really have, an example of, I have this idea, I can create this. I didn't think that I had any information, no experience in the consumer packaged good industry. So that stayed in the back of my mind. I kept working on my legal career. And then at some point, things started aligning. A lot of the clients that I worked with while I was doing immigration law were farmers that were forced to leave their home countries as a result of predatory farming practices. A lot of the women that I worked with are survivors of domestic violence and abuse. And I love Mexican food. I mean, I love food, particularly Mexican food. I'm always biased with Mexican food. And at the time I thought, if I were to create a product, how do I want to create this? What are the values that I want this business to have? So I knew that I wanted to work with the farmers, as much as I could work with women of color. I proudly identify as a Latina, as a woman of color. And really from a very smaller scale, how can I create the change that I want to see? It doesn't matter where I stand. It doesn't matter how much I can do it. It just matters that there's movement and that I'm doing something to create that change. So I started cooking in my kitchen. I called my mom and asked for, Mama, tu chipotle salsa. I think that's going to be one of my seasonings. I don't have a sweet tooth, but I love churros. And it seems like in the US, people love churros. So maybe that's going to be another flavor. And just started really mixing ingredients at home, connecting with farmers in Mexico, connecting with who eventually became the co-packer, who is the facility or the manufacturing company that makes the product for Nemi Snacks. So mid 2019, I launched Nemi Snacks. Everything was DIY packaging on PowerPoint. God bless Google, because my, Shopify, very basic questions that Google answered, registered my company, the Secretary of State. I just did the basic things, and I knew I was coming in with not a lot of experience. I had a lot of passion. I had a lot of stamina. And I knew I needed to learn a lot, but I needed to get the products out there to get people's feedback, to see if people liked it or not, and then just take it from there. So that is how I started the business. I always like explaining that it wasn't, this structured approach of, I'm going to raise funds and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. No, I started with an idea, very basic things that we figured out along the way, and we just launched. And it's been 3 years, and it's been an amazing and exhilarating ride. And I'm going to now give it back to you, Drea, because I can just go and on, but I want you to continue.
I have more questions, but Regina, it's amazing talking to you. Every time I do get a chance to talk to you, I get more and more inspired. And I know that I'm seeing our chat light up with people who are connecting with you. So we're so glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what Nemi looks like today. Do you have a team, and how has things changed from 2019 now to 2022?
Well, 2019, it was pretty much me all by myself. My family, they were super supportive. Everyone in my family is in Mexico City, but my mom her house was Nemi's warehouse. My sister, there's a photo that I have of everyone in my mom's dining room next to the kitchen, pasting labels front and back, because at the beginning it was just a plastic bag, front and back labels. They helped me with operations in Mexico, but here it was pretty much me. My husband helped me with fulfillment. I was doing all fulfillment from my basement, to the point where I just couldn't continue doing DIY pallets. And the stores were complaining about it because they were not very, very well done. And that's when I started thinking, what are the things that are either muscle work of, I don't need to be the one doing that. I can focus on sales and strategy and maybe other things. What are the things that I'm not good at, that I know someone else is going to do a better job than me, and they can bring that level of expertise and experience that I don't have, and that my learning curve is so big that it can be a little bit of a waste of time or use of my time. And we got a warehouse in June, and we transitioned all inventory. We moved it to our warehouse. I hired someone that is doing all the fulfillment for wholesale orders and direct to consumer orders. Wholesale orders are the ones that are going to stores. And I hired a finance person that helped me with everything finance related. I was having a hard time, being as diligent as I knew I wanted to be. And I'm not an expert, and I knew that I needed that expertise coming in. So I hired a CFO. Right now, we're looking for a social media manager who can help us with the marketing and the creative side. I looked for mentors because, I understood what I knew, but I also knew what I didn't know, and everything that I wanted to learn and improve and grow. So I hired, not hired, but I started working with some mentors that have been key in the growth that we've experienced so far. And who else? Oh, and an operations person in Mexico, which also has been key because everything is manufactured in Mexico. So we're constantly communicating with suppliers, with vendors, making sure that everything is good for border crossing, because I import the product. So it means that we go through FDA inspection every time that we import the product. So help with logistics and a lot of the day-to-day following up. But that's today, though. For 2 years, I didn't have that level of support. And it took time to get there. But I am very, very grateful with having people in my team that believe in the brand and that believe in the change that they can bring and create for the brand. So I'm very grateful for that.
We're so excited for your success so far, and we know this is just the beginning.
Thank you.
Regina, when we were talking in our first time, you had a lot to share about how it was to be a Latina starting a small business. And I would love for you to share that with our Intuit audience, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, I think it's the best moment to create something as a Latina, as a woman of color. I didn't expect when I started to find the amount of support from other founders that were offering the resources, to find the amount of Latinas and Latinos that are in the consumer packaged goods space. And we're looking for, for those spaces of connection and sharing of resources. So many businesses that have accelerators, incubator programs in the consumer package space. For example, Target is one of them, DoorDash is another one, and they're literally creating incubator programs for consumer packaged owned businesses from minority owners, mostly BIPOC owned. And I didn't know that existed, and that's been a huge help. And I think that's why I say it is the perfect moment if you're thinking about it, because there are a lot of resources that didn't exist. The amount of funding that there is, grant programs, loans with really good terms, that are also, there are some that are you need to be careful. There's a little bit of everything too, but the amount of grants that are out there that, again, I don't think we've been able to bootstrap the company. We're still bootstrapped without that kind of support and funding availability. And I think on the other side, when I started the business 3 years ago, I didn't, I thought I'm going to come in, and if there's no seat at the table for me or for us, that's okay, because I have my own hands to bring my chair and really create a seat for us. And when I say us, I mean the community, and that's what we've been doing. And we're not asking for permission, which also, I think 10 years ago, my different self would have a very different reaction. But I think, the momentum of having the support and resources, plus how we feel and how I feel about being a Latina and how proud I am of that, that's just been a really good combination to start a business and continue growing and excel in the industry.
And so inspiring, Regina. And I'm actually going to put you on the spot. You shared a phrase that you use that I totally think you need to trademark and start putting on there. But you said there's a way you think about how it is to continue to push forward. Do you remember? I'd love for you to share that with everybody, because I've used it several times and credit you since the first time we spoke.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So that came when a lot of people tell you starting a business is challenging. The road is bumpy, or the road is going to be bumpy or something. And I'm like, no. 1 year in, 2 years in, it's not that the road has bumps here and there. It is just a bumpy road. That's just how it is. And then I just remember thinking, like, one time specifically that I thought, what am I doing? What is this? What's going to happen? And I was crying, no? And in Spanish, we say llorando. And I was like, okay, estoy llorando. I am crying. But where is this? I feel my emotion and I'm doing this, but I need to keep walking. I need to keep moving. I need to keep figuring out, how am I going to solve this? Because I need to figure something out. So then I started just telling myself, caminando y llorando, no? You cry and you feel the feels and you find space for that, but you just have to keep walking. So caminando y llorando really became kind of like my mantra that I just tell myself when it's difficult or challenging times, of just keep walking. The solution will come. There are many alternatives, but just keep moving.
I don't know if you can see all the love coming up through the chat, Regina, but people are inspired, and that's super.
Oh.
We're thrilled to be here. And one of the reasons, Regina, we wanted to highlight you and we wanted to showcase your snacks. We also we're all very invested in helping you be successful. You've got the people who are watching are Intuit employees. We build the product that you use, and we'd love to hear a little bit about you and how you use our product so that we can continue to innovate and help you scale your business and hit all of your targets. So if you can tell us a little bit about what products you do use, and what are the areas that have impacted you and helped you become successful within our products?
Yeah, I think one of the first things, or something that I've realized, especially with women in the industry, is the two main reasons why we don't start a business. One is out of fear, and the second one is not having the information. And, we hear all the time people say, information, I forgot it in English, como knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. It is, as long as you know how to use that information. Otherwise, it's just information that we don't know how to digest and process. When I started, I did everything manually. I could have done it differently at the time, but I just didn't know better. And I really wasn't aware. For example, I didn't start using QuickBooks until later. All my invoices were done manually. I was following up with every account about payment. I had 5 different spreadsheets, one with cash flow, my balance sheet, my P&L. I was going through my bank account every week, trying to update those. So I had good information, but everything was spread out and it really wasn't efficient. And everyone told me, you need to use QuickBooks. You need to use QuickBooks. And I was like, yes, see, I'll get there. And then when I started using it and I started seeing, I can just get my information from my cash flow there. I can just go in and check my P&L. I don't have to follow up with the accounts about the money they owe or the invoices that I'm creating for them. I can track actually all the invoices and use it for my retail tracker for inventory, because I was having a lot of issues about selling out every month. So, out of all the information that it's offering, how can I use it? And it really simplified my time and my life. Also, I think if like me, I wasn't really coming in with a financial expertise, and the spreadsheets that I was using were not providing the data that it had. To me, it wasn't as accurate as with QuickBooks, right? Like the fact that I can connect it with my bank accounts, that everything is in there. Nothing happens in the business when it comes to sales that doesn't come from QuickBooks. So it really simplified the way that I conduct business. It helped also my consumers. And it really was for me in that area, night and day. I just wish I could have started, I would have started using it sooner.
Well, we love to hear that we made it easier so that way you can continue to innovate. Regina, what's your biggest pain point right now? What keeps you up at night? How can we think about helping you continue to focus on the strategy and letting the business run?
Thank you. I think the challenges that I have and I experience as I grow, challenges don't leave, they just change as you evolve. And right now it's been, for example, the delays with payment terms and with getting all these invoices paid. And actually, I think it was earlier this week or last week that I connected with Brittany here from Intuit, and I asked her, because I kept seeing this pop up about get paid up front on QuickBooks. And I use QuickBooks every single, like it's always open in my computer, in my tab. And I kept thinking, what if I'm having these challenges and this is really something that can affect my growth? Because if I don't get those invoices paid, we're not going to have money for inventory. And I have this bigger account that is going to have a significant, a bigger request for inventory. So how am I going to fulfill these POs? And initially I just went to, okay, I'm going to have to start fundraising. But then I took a step back and thought, what's the immediate alternative? So I started looking into PO financing. And that is when and this happened like really days ago. And I thought, Brittany, is there anyone that I can talk to about get paid up front? Because I don't know why I never looked into this until now that I have, the need, and I started seeing the pop-up, and I would really like to learn more about it because it could really be a huge help for us just to keep working on that inventory machine and having inventory at hand for bigger accounts without having to, the 30 net payment terms. I can't wait 30 days to produce more inventory. I need to be producing it on a constant basis. So I haven't used it yet, but I think it's something that is going to alleviate significantly the business and my personal stress too.
Awesome. Well, we're excited and we're happy to tell you all about it. Anything that we need, we can do to help. We're here and we're really excited. I know there are a lot of people who have questions for you. And so before I turn you over to QA, I do have one last question for you, if I could.
Yes.
Since it is Hispanic Heritage Month, what advice would you give other members of the Hispanic small business community?
I really hope you feel proud of where you come from. And if at any point, you got we're different because we speak a different language, because we eat different things, because we conduct our culture and our background in a different way, really that uniqueness or that difference, it really is our superpower. And that difference is what makes us have a different perspective and bring that into the table. As I said, it is a bumpy road for anyone coming from anywhere. But start where you are. Start with fear, start with doubt, because that is how we start, and that's where we start. But whatever it is that makes you move closer to whatever dream that you want to materialize, just go ahead and hopefully do it feeling proud of our heritage and of where we come from.
Regina, it's been an honor to talk with you. I have to tell everybody watching, the Mexican lime chips are my absolute favorite. My family's already eaten 3 bags. We just got them yesterday. So please feel free. I know that we have a discount code. It looks like there might be some issues with it.
I'm going to look into that right now. I just read that. Yeah.
But thank you so much for spending the time. We are celebrating you as a small business owner. We're celebrating you as a Latina. Thank you for spending the time with us. And I'm going to turn it over to Ruby, who's going to facilitate some Q&A with you. Thank you so much.
You.
Thanks, Dre. We've got some great questions here from the audience, so we'll go ahead and jump into those. Please do continue to add your questions through the Q&A tab so that I can go ahead and see those and get those over to Regina to answer. Regina, first of all, thank you so much for joining us today. Super inspiring. As a fellow Latina who's looking at trying to start my own small business and what that looks like, it's always super inspiring to hear from other Latinas who have successfully pulled this off. So we'll go ahead and jump right into some of the questions.
Ruby.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I'm so excited to get your snacks. I also ordered the chili lime ones. So I'm glad Dre said those were really bomb, because I'm so excited. I love nopales. I eat them a lot, especially as part of like a half plant-based diet. And I love that you brought up the sustainability of that plant. And I think it really speaks to like our Mexican resilience as well, of being able to like withstand extremes and still thrive.
And still caminando.
Yep, exactly. All right. So the first question we have, of course, we are very customer obsessed here and always wanting to know how we can improve things. So one of our members would like to know, what is your favorite feature in QuickBooks?
The invoice creation. I just love how I can categorize everything and how everything is organized, and how can I optimize all the information that I have there. I love going in and just doing 2 clicks and looking at my cash flow, and then looking at my P&L and just having information that is readily available. I think those are my favorite features.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to hear, because I know sometimes those types of things can be really tedious and time consuming. And so it's like, that's just time you get back. So glad those features are working well for you. We have a member who is located in the Chicago area, and they would love to know where they might be able to find your snacks locally.
Yes, so in Chicago, we sell in Andersonville, Lincoln Park, Lakeview, South Loop, Uptown, Westtown. I have a store locator on my website, and they can go in there and look at the stores in Chicago. We're also at, I don't know if this person would mind sharing the neighborhood where they're at, so that I can give the name of the store.
Yeah, we'll go, if you want to go ahead and throw your neighborhood in the chat, we can see it, and then Regina can go ahead and give you her expert advice of where to find those.
We're in Pilsen too.
Awesome. All right, so someone had a question about like kind of getting started with the business and things around grants. So many people don't know that there are grants for starting a business. So how did you go about finding them?
I first connected with a local food and beverage incubator. It's a nonprofit called The Hatchery here in Chicago. And that was kind of my first connection with the grants that were available. And then through them, I registered at Hello Alice. And it's really been the website that I use for most of the grants that I find, because they pull all the opportunities that are available for mostly minority owned businesses. And then as you start seeing this, then you start realizing, oh, so it's also I Fund Women is another one. And then there's another called the Amber Grant for Women. And one starts taking you to the next, and then a lot of them are recurring grants. So they do it every 5 months, they do it once a year. There's another one called Enthuse Foundation, and they're only supporting women-owned businesses. But if you go to helloalice.com, most of the grants for minority-owned businesses are going to be there.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that tip. And hopefully anyone here can share those with any small business owners they know of as well.
Yes, Jody just posted it.
Awesome.
And it's a great resource. And actually, as of today, there are like 5 or 6 grants for women owned. So if anyone is thinking about them, we should all apply.
Awesome. Yes, let's get that bag. All right. How do you handle tracking your inventory across sales channels? What's difficult about doing this?
I think the most difficult thing for me has been just keeping up with demand, because we forecast according to our current sales and new sales that we're going to hit, or new accounts that we're going to hit. But then thankfully we do better, but also then we run out of stock because we sell out. So that was also one of the reasons why I moved to the warehouse, because I just needed more space to store inventory. And I knew that if I wanted to grow to a certain point, I needed to start having, that operational and logistics capacity of fulfilling orders. It's, if you are selling at your neighbor's store, they can be patient, they can be flexible. But if you're selling at one of the stores that we sell at is in Texas, and is a medium-sized chain, and there is a big competition. So they all want to be in the shelf. So you need to be able to deliver your product on time. And stores don't like having empty shelves. So I think that's been the challenge, right? Well, it is about how can we guesstimate better and how can we forecast better according to the, every order that we're getting on a daily basis and fulfillment. But also with that comes hiring a team to do fulfillment. And then, more resources for potentially marketing. If you're going to some stores that you need to go in, getting on the shelf. I don't want to say it's easy, but the difficult part is getting off the shelf. How will people know you're there? How will people buy your snack versus a potato chip or a tortilla chip, right? So I think that's been the challenge, right? And usually what helps me is going back to kind of either survival mode or to really the beginning, the most basic of, do we have, our suppliers and the vendors that we work with and the farmers we work with, can they sustain our growth? Then how can we do it differently? Not by not working with them, but maybe working with others as well. Having a facility in northern Mexico, not only in Mexico City, so that we can actually also reduce costs with transportation and maybe diversify our inventory. So all these questions that start coming up as you grow, that at the beginning you don't ask yourself, and maybe you don't know because you don't have those kinds of challenges. But just dealing with the day-to-day challenges that come from growing, which is, it is a blessing. I say happy problem, but it is a problem that we need to figure out.
Yeah, I think this is something I commonly hear for businesses that start growing. So thank you for sharing that, because I know that can be, like you said, a very exciting moment when you're having all this growth, and then the stress immediately comes of like, oh, how do we sustain this growth? How do we get all of our products?
Yes.
So that definitely makes sense. And I like that you talked about diversifying, because I think, especially for a small business, sometimes you want to have like a sense of loyalty to like who you've originally partnered with. But the reality is, like, to maintain that loyalty with those people, you have to be able to sustain your growth and keep delivering your products. And so diversifying helps you grow the business so that you're loyal to them while improving along the way.
Yeah, and I think just something that you mentioned about diversifying and, with the suppliers that we work with, having very honest conversations with them since the beginning of what's your growth path? Because maybe they're not interested in hitting national distribution. Maybe they're not interested in selling more than a certain amount of clients, and that's okay. but just finding the people that are aligned with your growth path and that you know they're committed to achieving that growth. When I started asking those questions, it made it easier to find the right partner too.
That's awesome. I love that. All right. Well, talking about all the product that you're having to create because people keep buying it, we have a couple people who would like to know, what is your top selling flavor?
The number one, and it's always been the number one since the beginning, is the Mexican lime. And then in 2019, at the beginning, I only had 3 flavors. I had smoky chipotle, chili turmeric, and the Mexican lime. And I did a seasonal in December 2019, and that was a churro flavor. And it's really a mix of pulverized dates, because we don't use sugar, and cinnamon. And it sold out within 2 weeks. And that really became the 4th member of the familia. And that is now the 2nd bestseller. So it's Mexican lime, churro, which really tastes like a Mexican churro, but a healthy version of a Mexican churro. And then it's kind of a tie between the smoky chipotle and the chili turmeric.
Awesome. I love that. Well, I love me a good churro. So I feel like that'll be my next flavor I try after the chili lime or the Mexican lime.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. All right. So what is the proudest decision you've made with your business to date?
Sometimes that's a hard question. I think showcasing Mexico and my cultura with sombrero-free branding and letting people know that there are Mexican snacks other than tortilla chips. Seeing how our growth has helped other business owners, and how this experience has given me the opportunity to connect with other women thinking about starting their businesses, and really showcasing the richness and the colors and the vibrancy of Mexico in a way that I didn't see. And that was the reason why I didn't feel represented when I was looking at all these Latino or Latina inspired brands in the industry. But I think really, I said it at the beginning, really using this as an opportunity to satisfy more than a food craving, which yes, we're doing through a product, but we have the opportunity and the day-to-day chance to create the change that we want to see in the industry and to elevate and celebrate Mexican cultura. And I think that's always going to be my proudest moment now, a year ago, and hopefully years from now.
That's beautiful. I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's wonderful. All right, so we've got just a couple minutes here. So I'll go ahead and get to one last question here. How do you connect with new customers and stay in touch with the existing ones? And what is the story that you want your customers to know?
So there's different ways on how we do that. When I first launched the business, I did a lot of in-person marketing. So my main interest was connecting with consumers because I wanted to get their feedback on the product. If you try our product today and try the product 3 years ago, it's very different. Everything, the texture, the seasonings, not the ingredients, but the texture and the seasoning, we've done a lot of tweaks based on consumer feedback. One thing when I launched the company was I did my DIY packaging and there was a lot of text and people don't read. And then it was through consumer feedback. It took us about 9 months to get their feedback. And this was between my email newsletters, connecting with them directly. The subscribers, I try to connect with my subscribers on a monthly basis through DMs on Instagram, surveys, Facebook surveys. I mean, everything that we could. We started getting their feedback on our brand is not really communicating the mission and the values of our business. We can do much better. And how can we do it better? So that's when we started working on the rebrand, which is, this is a new brand. I have an old one here. Give me 1 second because it was, where is it? I just saw it. I don't find it. I'm sorry. I just saw it. Really the rebrand came as a result of customer feedback. And I mean, I cannot stress the importance of connecting with your consumer as much as we can. When COVID hit, we stopped doing all in-person marketing. So we started doing online cooking classes and a lot of Instagram stories on cooking Mexican food. And for example, the smoky chipotle, this is my mom's salsa recipe, where the flavoring came from and where the seasoning, the inspiration for the seasoning came from. So trying to figure out ways to continue connecting without having that in person. Now we're doing, again, a lot of in person. But one of my, the basic thing that I do is we always respond to DMs. We always respond to emails and messages that come from our website from consumers or potential consumers. Or, and I always say, if I receive any kind of feedback, it is all feedback, negative, positive. Hopefully, all of our reviews are positive, and even on Amazon, 99% of our reviews are positive, but we appreciate just all the feedback that we can gather, because in the end, that is our data, and that is helping us create a better product and just serve better to our consumers.
That's awesome. Well, Regina, it's been so lovely getting to talk to you. And I just want to thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to everyone who joined our Small Biz Pop-Up. Please do fill in our survey today for this event to be entered in a giveaway that we're doing. So in addition to checking out Nemi Snacks and purchasing with the discount code, some of those of you who fill out the survey or ask questions will also be entered to win some snacks. And so, we're holding these on a regular basis to continue the goal of supporting small business and hear your stories. It's so inspiring to hear from people like you who are just representing the culture really well, and also bringing your love of your culture into the products that you're creating. So please, continue to reach out to us here as you use our products to help your business be successful. And just like you're looking for feedback on your snacks, definitely let us know where we have opportunities to make our tools work well for you, so that you can continue to pour passion into your business and keep growing. So thank you so
much. Ruby, thank you so much. Drea, Mark, Brittany, I'm missing one person. What is the name of the other person that?
David, our
David,
video.
Yes, yeah. David. Thank you so much for, I'm honored. I really appreciate you providing a space again for us to share our story, to really help us celebrate and elevate Mexican cultura in the industry. And I really appreciate the support that you provide. It means a lot. Thank you.